With so much to see and do at Disney World, sometimes it's nice to have an idea of some highlights that you should definitely see whenever you are visiting the parks. And so that's exactly what I wanted to do tonight. I know whenever I am traveling someplace new or visiting a new place, I always like to look up YouTube videos or research some highlights to do while I'm there. So that way I don't get to the end of the trip and figure out that I ended up missing something that I was really excited to see. So like I said, that's exactly what I want to do in this live stream tonight. Tonight, I want to talk about 10 things that you should do whenever you are visiting Disney World. These are some of my favorite things to do at Disney World, and I wanted to share them with you in case you are planning a Disney World trip, trying to figure out what you want to do. I wanted to share some highlights that you can do whenever you are visiting. So before we go ahead and get into the 10 things that I wanted to share tonight, I wanted to talk about a couple of things before we get into it. Of course, if you are watching here on the live stream, please go ahead in the chat and say hello. I'd love to see who is here, and let me know what is your favorite thing to do when visiting Disney World if you've ever visited before. And then another thing I wanted to say is that as a replay, this video will be on here on the channel as a replay, and I will put little chapters on the bottom so that way you can go ahead and click through all of the different highlights that I have, so that way you can go ahead and see those. So Disney World is so big. There's so many things to do. In this live stream tonight, I'm going to be talking about all of the things that you can see and do around Disney World that are some of the highlights. Maybe in future videos and live streams, we'll break it down by parks, but we're going to just do an overarching all of Disney World tonight for these highlights. So we're going to go ahead and get right on into it. What I wanted to start out with, the first thing is to visit Disney Springs. So in case you haven't heard of Disney Springs before, Disney Springs essentially is Disney's shopping area that is on Disney World property. And the thing that I really like about Disney Springs is that it's free to visit. They have free parking. There's transportation to and from the parks and from hotels. So you can visit Disney Springs pretty easily. And Disney Springs has a lot of great restaurants. They have a lot of great shopping places that you can go to. They have Disney shops and also just privately owned shops that aren't necessarily Disney related. But I really like Disney Springs because it's a great thing to do if you have an off day from the parks. And it's a place that you could spend, honestly, a whole day there. There's a movie theater, restaurants, a lot of good food and shopping places. So it's a very fun place to visit if you haven't heard about it on Disney property. The second thing also relates to Disney Springs, and there's a lot of great restaurants, like I had mentioned, but one of the places that I really like to visit whenever it comes to eating at Disney Springs is Chicken Guy. Chicken Guy is one of the more least expensive type fast food that you can find at Disney Springs, and I really like it because they have great chicken sandwiches, their sauces are great, they have a really fun atmosphere, and so that is another great thing that you can check out whenever you're on Disney property if you're looking for an inexpensive place to eat while at Disney Springs as well. So we'll go ahead and get into another thing that doesn't necessarily involve the parks. I know when you think about Disney World, a lot of times the parks are the first thing that come to mind whenever thinking about Disney World. But another thing that you can do when at Disney World that I recommend is go resort hopping. If you've seen some of my previous videos, I always talk about resort hopping because honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do when at Disney World. And if you haven't heard about it before, resort hopping essentially is hopping around to the different Disney World resorts that they have on Disney property. They have so many resorts at Disney World. And the really unique thing is that you can use Disney transportation to take you all around to visit all of the Disney resorts. We did it this past weekend. We used the Skyliner to take us around to see the Art of Animation Resort is my favorite. And it's also a really fun way to see some of the different restaurants and atmospheres and vibes that the resorts have. And so that's something that I really recommend checking out. If you have an off day from the parks, you can just go around. It's really fun to do with kids as well because you can take the different Disney transportation around and just see what the different resorts have to offer. So that's one of my favorite things to do at Disney World and something that I definitely recommend. And Surfer Girl here, thank you for hopping in. You say resort hopping is so much fun. Like I said, it's one of my favorite things to do. I know a lot of people that do it. I have a guide here that I can share that shows some easy ways that you can use Disney transportation to get around to do Disney resort hopping. And so I highly recommend it. Like I said, The Art of Animation Resort is my favorite resort to visit. It's really great for kids as well because they have really large Disney characters that you can go and visit. They have a Little Mermaid area of the resort, a Cars area, Finding Nemo, and the Lion King area of the resort. So it's just a really fun way to get around and see all of Disney property and maybe get a break from the parks as well. So now let's talk a little bit about the parks. We'll first talk about one thing that I really like to see when at Disney World. I love doing rides, but one thing that I like to see are some of the entertainment options that they have at the parks. And one of my favorite things are watching cavalcades or parades. So some of the parks have, since the pandemic, they have started doing more shorter cavalcades rather than full parades. And at Magic Kingdom, they have a wide variety of cavalcades that you can see. And they just recently brought back the full Festival of the Fantasy parade that you can see. But I love checking out the cavalcades. They happen throughout the day. And it's really neat because they aren't necessarily doing character meet and greets right now. Those will be coming back shortly. But it's really neat to see some characters that maybe you don't usually see that they have in these cavalcades. And you can see them throughout the day. So if you miss it at the early part of the day, you know that they might be coming out at the end of the day. And you can see on the My Disney Experience app whenever they are rolling through. They also have a cavalcade at Hollywood Studios that rolls through, which is fun to see. So that's something that you will definitely want to check out. And it's something that you can actually just happen upon whenever you are at the parks. I know sometimes I'll hear the music come on and I'll know that the cavalcade is rolling through. And so you can just run up, see it real quick, and then continue about your Disney day. Hey, Carly, just wanted to say hi. Thank you so much for being in here. Surfer Girl, so going back to resort hopping, went to 5 resorts the day before your birthday. You can see so many Disney resorts, and Disney transportation is so helpful when it comes to resort hopping. With the Skyliner loop, you can hit, I can't even count off the top of my head, but there's probably like 7 resorts that are on the Skyliner loop that you can hit. And with the monorail loop resorts, you can hit at least 3 of them. So definitely take advantage of that Disney transportation. And if you're thinking of resort hopping, definitely figure out how to use Disney transportation and know how to get around to the different resorts because it is very, very beneficial. All right, so we talked about cavalcades and parades. I love seeing those at the parks. But another thing that you should do whenever you are visiting Epcot is walk around the World Showcase. If you've heard of Epcot before, there is a World Showcase that they have there, and they have different pavilions of different countries around the world. And they are so fun to see. I know you might be rushing from ride to ride, walking around, but it's really neat because they have little restaurants and carts there that you can get snacks and treats at. And they are very, very decorated and very well done. And I recommend if you have some time, just kind of walk around and definitely at least once try to explore one of the Epcot pavilions in detail. They are so cool. My favorite pavilion at Epcot is the Germany Pavilion. I just think it's very well decorated. I love Germany. And so I love just walking around the World Showcase and seeing all that it has to offer. It's fun too because they have some characters that are sprinkled around the World Showcase that you can see. Sometimes they have a cavalcade that rolls through. I'm not sure if they still do that, but they did that in the past. So there is just a lot that you can see. There's drummers in Japan. So much that goes into seeing things around the World Showcase. So I definitely recommend if you're visiting Epcot, take advantage of that. Take some time to walk around it. It is quite large too, so it is a little bit of a walk that you can do, but I definitely recommend checking that out whenever you're at Epcot. Let me know, guys, too, if you're watching and you have anything that you really like to do at Disney World. Let me know in the comments because I'd love to see what other people really enjoy doing. And as we move on there, we'll talk about another park here, and that is Animal Kingdom. What I recommend is when you're visiting Animal Kingdom, walk around in detail and see Pandora. I absolutely love the Avatar movies. I would kind of say that it would be similar to walking around the Harry Potter world. If I just love the Avatar area of Animal Kingdom, and they did a great job at decorating and just theming the world or Avatar in Pandora. I'm getting my words mixed up, but it's really neat in the evening time too. They have some bioluminescent, or it's like a paint that glows at the night, and you can see everything just kind of comes to life and it's very vibrant. I highly recommend checking that out and seeing it all in detail. They have two great rides in Pandora. You can find the Flight of Passage, and then you can also find the Navi River Journey in Pandora. And so I highly recommend checking that out. It's a very neat place to visit whenever you're in Animal Kingdom. So moving on to another park, we'll get into a little bit of the rides. Oh, Carly, you're asking which park is my favorite. I would have to say that Magic Kingdom is my favorite park. I just absolutely love all of the rides that are at Magic Kingdom. I like the castle, of course. I love all of the music that they have around there. The atmosphere is my favorite. Let me know what your guys' favorite park is. But I would definitely have to say that it would go Magic Kingdom. And then Epcot is another one of my favorites. I just love, like I said, the World Showcase. I love walking around there. There's so much to do. And then it would go probably Hollywood Studios because I like the rides that they have there as well. And then Animal Kingdom is probably my least favorite, although I do love all of the parks. That's probably my least favorite because it's one of the smaller parks. And I feel that I can't really spend a whole day there. I like the other parks because there's a lot more to do. But each of the parks are so different and unique in their own way. If you're planning a visit to Disney World, highly recommend checking all of them out because they are very unique in their own ways. But Magic Kingdom is definitely my favorite. I just absolutely love it because of all of the fun rides, the characters they have there. It is definitely my favorite. So we'll get back to the talking about the rides, but we'll talk about Hollywood Studios here now. The one thing in the one ride, besides Rise of the Resistance that you should ride at Hollywood Studios, you should ride Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I absolutely love that ride. Hey, Two Broke Mice, thanks so much for being in here, guys. I absolutely love Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad or Railway. I always get that mixed up. But it is such a cute ride. They really did a great job at theming the ride, and I am an engineer at heart, and I just love all of the technology and stuff that goes into this ride. And so I definitely recommend checking that one out. And the neat thing about it that we'll get into the eighth thing here that you should do is to look for hidden Mickeys and hidden details. I absolutely love looking for hidden Mickeys and hidden details. And when it comes to the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, I really like this ride because since it is Mickey and Minnie themed, there are so many hidden details and hidden Mickeys that you can find in this ride that it is so fun. I need to make a guide of some of the things that you can find in there. But basically, if you haven't heard of what hidden Mickeys are, basically they are the outline or the silhouette of Mickey Mouse that are kind of worked into different features and details of rides or just around the park. You can find them everywhere. And when it comes to finding hidden Mickeys, when I first was visiting the parks, I thought, how am I ever going to find these? I have no idea what I'm looking for. But once you see one, you kind of get an idea of what you're looking for. And then they honestly just start to pop out everywhere. And so what I'd recommend if you are thinking about trying to look for hidden Mickeys or want to look for hidden Mickeys, I do have a guidebook that I have found on Amazon. It's a hidden Mickey scavenger hunt book that I can link below that you can actually look around and find hidden Mickeys at Disney World. And then another thing that I recommend is actually going online and finding a hidden Mickey. Just type in hidden Mickeys at Disney World and it'll come up with maybe a picture or some guides of some places that you can expect to find hidden Mickeys. That way you know what you're looking for. You can go see it in person and then have an idea what to look for later on during your day. But they also have a lot of other hidden details, hidden Easter eggs that you can find around Disney World that I recommend checking out. There's so many things that you can find there, and it's just fun, a fun additional thing to do while you're at Disney World. So I do have two other things to do here at Disney World that you should do whenever you're visiting. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I can answer them while we're still on the live stream here. And of course, if you're watching on the replay, feel free to put them in the comments and I would definitely love to answer any questions that you may have and help out as I can. So the ninth thing that we have here, since it is the 50th anniversary currently going on at Disney World, one thing that they have, besides all the other decorations and things that they have going on, is they have 50th statues scattered throughout the park. So each of the 4 theme parks have different statues that you can find. They are different Disney characters, and it's really neat to just walk around and try to find all of the different statues, and they are all really well done, and I really enjoy seeing all of the ones that they have at the different parks. But you can look up online and try to see what different statues are in the parks, or just walking around, you can see them in like the central hub of Magic Kingdom in front of the Tree of Life. They are all over, and it's just really fun to see the ones that they have there. Carly, you have a question here. Have you ever thought about working for Disney as an engineer? Yes, I definitely have, Carly. I really would love to do that personally. I've thought about it. I have not ever applied personally for a Disney job because I haven't found any postings, but that is a dream job of mine. If I was to continue with engineering, I would definitely want to be either a Disney Imagineer or a Universal Creative Engineer. So we'll just see what the future has to hold. But honestly, that is dream job material right there for me. So thank you for asking. That's a really interesting question. It is definitely a dream of mine. That would be so cool. And the last thing that I have is one of my favorites as well, and that is to watch an evening fireworks show. So I said it before, but the Disney parks have a lot of shows and evening entertainment that you can expect to see whenever you're at the parks. And one of my favorite things to do is to watch one of the fireworks show that they have. The Magic Kingdom has a fireworks show. Fantasmic is at Hollywood Studios. It's not open right now, but it is expected to open later on this year that you can see. But they also have some projections on some of the icons in the parks. On the Epcot ball, you can see like the Beacons of Light, I think it's called. And there's some other shows that you can see in the evening time around the Disney parks that are really cool to check out and see. So I highly recommend checking those out. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. Those are 10 things that I personally love to do and see whenever I am at Disney World. I'd love to know what you guys have to say in the comments. If you're watching on the replay here, what do you like to do at Disney World, or what do you recommend? I know it can be very overwhelming trying to figure out what to do at Disney World or what to see and do because there's so much there. But this is definitely some of the highlights that I like to do and see whenever I am visiting. So hope you guys enjoyed this list. If there are any other questions that you have, like I said, definitely let me know in the comments, and I'd love to answer any questions you may have. I've got other videos that may help here on the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll probably have a live stream sometime next week. If you have any ideas for future live streams you'd like to see, definitely let me know in the comments below, and we will see you guys in another live stream. See you guys. Thanks for watching.